first I wasn't going to review the MMF entries just yet, but due to certain events happening, I figured I can't wait. I have to get these reviews out now, so let's talk about this movie. Honor Thy Father is directed by Erik Matti, written by Michiko Yamamoto, and stars John Lloyd Cruz, Meryl Soriano, Crystal Brimner, and Tirsa Cruz III. And Honor Thy Father is about a man named Edgar, played by John Lloyd Cruz, who works as a gardener, while his wife Kay, played by Meryl Soriano, works for her father's investment company, which turns out to be a pyramid scheme. And in the face of overwhelming debt, a couple of angry investors demand 6 million pesos from them in 2 weeks, or else they're going to hurt them. So Edgar sets out on this downward spiral to get the money. I'm sure most of you know by now that Honor Thy Father was disqualified to be eligible for Best Picture at this year's MMFF, and I could say so much about that. I could say so much about how I think that the MMFF is slowly being more and more like ridiculous year after year, but I'm not gonna talk about that. I'll talk about this movie, which you have to go out, seek it out, watch it, because in my opinion it is the best Filipino movie so far this year. It just has incredible visuals, the acting is fantastic, and the direction from Erik Matti is phenomenal. First of all, just to get it out of the way, this movie's visuals are mind-blowing. There are just so many shots that I just kind of shook my head in disbelief at because of the amount of detail packed into every single frame, and the framing itself and the way these shots are composed is just fantastic. The color palette of this movie is very saturated, but I do actually think that the saturated colors help amplify the film's dire tone. And there's really just something about the depth and composition of so many of these shots that really bring this world to life. Like, there are some shots where you can tell there's action happening in like on 3 different levels, and just seeing all that kind of combined really gives the impression that this is a living, breathing world. And the way they play with focus in some shots helps us focus on certain details that they want us to pay attention to as certain things are being said. The makeup in this movie can be grotesque, but it's always effective, it's always believable, and this movie has some of the best production design I've ever seen in a local movie. I'm not just talking about like how people's houses look, although their houses do look great. All the interiors are jam-packed with personality and say so much about the people who inhabit them. But the thing that really stands out to me production design wise are there are certain scenes that happen in caves, which I won't spoil, but I literally don't know how they pulled off those scenes. Like, it felt really, really real. And I know this movie has great sound because not once did I think about the sound as I watched it. The mix is very consistent. The sound editing of gunshots, explosions, and water splashing around is clear, it's hard-hitting, but it's always realistic. And the musical score as well overall is great. It's very sad and it's very foreboding, but the one piece of music that I will single out here is this rendition of Ama Namin, the Lord's Prayer, that's played about halfway through the movie, and it's performed in such a melancholy, longing way that somehow still fits with the meaning of the prayer. And I actually think that this rendition gets us to rethink what this prayer really means, because we're so used to hearing it, every week at Mass. We don't really understand like how it can be used in a different context, and I think this movie really shows that to us well. But fair warning to all you On the Job fans first, this is not an action movie. Like, I know I mentioned makeup that can be grotesque, I know I mentioned gunshots and explosions, but this is not an action movie. There's some action happening here and there, but for the most part, this is a slow burn crime drama. So expect much slower pacing, which still works for this story because you still end up feeling anxious and tense the entire time. And my favorite scene in the entire movie in terms of editing has to be, again, no spoilers, when Edgar is attempting to commit a crime, but his paranoia gets the best of him. Like, he starts focusing on little things that are making noise, and the noise just, ramps up and it becomes deafening and he just loses it. Now, this is a movie that takes a couple of twists throughout, but not in a plot twist sort of way. I mean this in the sense that there's a turn that happens about halfway through the movie that at first I felt like I didn't like, but I realized it was just due to my expectations that I felt like I didn't like it. Because when I looked at it as it was, I really began to appreciate it. It was a turn in the plot that managed to build Edgar's character in an unexpected way by using other characters and environments to flesh him out instead of just, exposition. All the dialogue here comes off very naturally. What I like is that every person sounds different. Like, it doesn't sound obvious that this entire script was written just by one person. And let's talk about the acting in this movie. John Lloyd Cruz is brilliant. He's a great actor, man. Like, he easily strips away that rom-com persona he's so often associated with. He really makes it seem like he's been this hardcore dramatic actor slash almost action star forever. Meryl Soriano is great as well. She manages to make the torrent of emotions that her character is experiencing easily readable in her performance, because her character is generally just very confused about who to blame and who to turn to in this situation. And as far as child actresses go, Crystal Brimner is great. She comes off very authentic without calling attention to herself. She's not like, dare I say, Riza May or Bimbi, who are just like, I'm a child and I'm doing funny things. This girl is an actress. And Tirso Cruz III is great as well. He plays this religious fanatic so believably that I kind of wonder if he's actually one himself. I'm just kidding, like, you did a great job, sir. Now, I am slightly infamous among people I know personally for not thinking that On the Job is a great movie, and I still stand by that. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's all that great, but Honor Thy Father, I think, is a great movie, all thanks to Erik Matti. You can just tell through his blocking and through his camera placements that he thought of every single scene here down to the smallest detail. And like I said, I have absolutely no idea how they pulled off the cave scenes. Like, I really got the feeling that Erik Matti himself got down and dirty just to accomplish these shots, and that sort of passion is evident in the final product. One of the things that bothered me about On the Job was that its tone, for me, was kind of wavering from time to time, but here the tone is always in control. It never goes overboard on the action, never goes overboard in like the depressing aspects of the story. It's always in control, and as a result, it feels a lot more real and relatable. My only issues with this movie are kind of minor. For one, there are certain scenes that I feel linger a bit longer than I think is necessary. Like, even after the point is made, I feel like the movie stretches on a bit indulgently, like especially during an early scene where they're all at this church and people are kind of losing their minds, and I feel like it could have ended a significant amount of time earlier. And I do recognize that the ending of this movie is unconventional, and I accept it, but I just felt a bit let down by it, and I realized it was because of the characters, mainly the antagonists. Like, they're the closest thing we have to primary antagonists in this movie. They're the ones who threaten Edgar and his family, and I just feel like they should have been fleshed out more so I could have been more invested in the climax of this movie. And there are CGI cockroaches, but that's just like in 2 scenes. But don't let my negative comments sway you. Honor Thy Father is a great movie. Please, please, please go out and watch it, demand for it, show the MMFF that this is the kind of cinema that deserves to be seen and supported. Alright guys, I really hope you all get to watch Honor Thy Father. If you have seen it already, please tell me what you thought about it. Whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.